and I'm the Senior Director of Patient and Customer Experience at Northern Westchester Hospital. I'm also our Culture Leader and Planetree Coordinator, and I'm here to talk to you about how we create and sustain our person-centered culture. So first, I'm going to start talking a little bit about Planetree, which is an organization that we have been partnering with since 2005. To help us create and sustain our framework of person-centered excellence. I'll talk a little bit later on how Planetree was started, but what I like to point out is that when Planetree first started, they were very focused on patient-centered care, and that philosophy has shifted appropriately so into person-centered care. Because when you think about a patient, you might think about somebody who has an illness or a disability, or they may be sick, vulnerable in a hospital, wearing a hospital gown. And when you have that image, you're losing sight of who that person is behind that patient. And so the person-centered care really promotes the opportunity for us to connect with our patients as people and get to know them as people, and then customize and create a person-centered experience that meets their needs. And in doing that, we're also caring for our staff, patients, family members, and as well as our community. So this organization, Planetree, they are a passionate non-for-profit global healthcare leader, and then the definition below really speaks to what I just talked about person-centered care. And this organization was started by one woman who was in a hospital in California back in the 70s. And she is not a clinician by background, but she was hospitalized and had some family members that were hospitalized. And from that experience, she found so much was lacking by way of access to meaningful information. This was before you could go on Google and diagnose yourself and be well informed. There was no access to meaningful information. There was no medical library. And even more importantly, there was no partnership with the healthcare team that made her feel like an empowered healthcare consumer. The food didn't feel healthy. There wasn't access to nature. There were no volunteers. There were no opportunities to get outside of the space of just being in a hospital room, no art, no nature. No integrative modalities. What do I mean by that? No Reiki or reflexology or acupuncture or meditation. It was just all kind of traditional science-based medicine. And so Angelica, had a vision, and she thought that the experience could be better. And she started by building or partnering with one hospital and one wing of one hospital and providing this person-centered framework for care. She called it Planetree, and Planetree is modeled after this tree here, which was the tree that Hippocrates allegedly taught his medical students under. What I find more impactful is that it really gets back to the roots of what is important in the person-centered experience when it comes to healthcare. So one woman, one vision, one hospital, one wing is now internationally recognized. There's hospitals and skilled nursing facilities around the world who have adopted this framework. And again, there are hospitals now who patients demand this level of person-centeredness. So Planetree as an organization, it certainly is not necessary to get you to a place where you can create this culture. But, in 2005, this was still pretty innovative. So they really did help us, build that framework and support us as we continue to grow. There's a couple levels that you can be certified, and bronze, silver, and gold. Every 3 years, you go through a pretty intensive recertification. And I'm just proud to let you know that you are volunteering in an organization that is gold certified, the highest possible level. And we're one of the very few hospitals in the world who are both Planetree Gold and Magnet. Magnet is a very specific recognition for nursing excellence. And when I think of Planetree, what I really think about are these three words on the right, which is quality, partnership, and compassion. So what does our person-centered care look like in action at Northern Westchester? There's so many wonderful programs that we have, many of them volunteer-driven. You'll see over on the right, Vicki Feiner, who started our Art Cart program. Our Art Cart program centers around patients having a choice as to the art that they want to see in their room. We also have my most favorite volunteers, which are pet therapy dogs. Wonderful, not just for our patients and families, but just as impactful for our staff. We have music therapy. You'll see on the top, food is care. At Northern Westchester Hospital, we take great pride in our food. It's healthy, it's fresh, never frozen. We have a Michelin star chef who prepares the food. It's amazing. Patients can order what they want, when they want, delivered on China. The menu's changed twice a year, and the staff are invited to come down and have a little tasting of the menu so we can speak to the food. And we consistently score highest in the nation for patients' feedback on quality of the food. We have many healing spaces here in the hospital. We have our Ken Hamilton Caregiver Center. I'm going to speak a little bit more about that later. Down on the bottom right, we have our meditation room. It's also our non-denominational chapel right off the main lobby, a space that you can go and reflect and have some moments of serenity. We love to celebrate when we do well. We love to recognize our colleagues when we do exceptional work in our patient experience and person-centered culture. So we're always looking for ways to celebrate. Our integrative health department is led by two master's educated holistic nurses. We provide acupuncture, reflexology, meditation, aromatherapy, massage to our patients. We also have an integrative health space where staff can sign up for 15 minutes of reflexology. On the left here, you'll see Team Lavender, and on the top right, Schwartz Rounds. These are two programs that we have in place to support our staff, to help them share in safe spaces when they're feeling overwhelmed. Team Lavender is a group of, it's an interdisciplinary group, social workers, patient experience, nursing, pastoral care, where if a department is struggling for some reason, they can activate a Team Lavender and we will respond to provide support and guidance and just give staff the opportunity to step away and take a deep breath. We have a hospital chaplain who is here to provide pastoral support. And again, this is not just for patients and families, this is also for staff. The door is open and our chaplain is here to, again, be another support to our staff members, volunteers included, who may need some guidance or support. This is our Ken Hamilton Caregiver Center. I love speaking about it, and I think our volunteers, this is a wonderful center for you to be familiar with. So if you happen to run into a caregiver, which could be a family member or a friend of a patient, you can refer them to this beautiful space, which is right in our main lobby. And just like Planetree, our Ken Hamilton Caregiver Center was started by one person, and that was Marion Hamilton. And Marion's husband was ill. He was dying. It was probably 18 years ago. And she felt very overwhelmed as a caregiver. She had two young children. She had a difficult time navigating, didn't feel supported. And after her husband died, she went to hospitals around this area to propose this concept of having a space and staff to support the caregiver. And even though this was not the hospital that her husband passed away at, we were the hospital that, of course, said we would love to have you bring this program here. It has been replicated in 23 other hospitals around the country, with the most recent being the Mayo Clinic, have replicated this program. So please be familiar with it. It's led by a licensed clinical medical social worker. And this is, like I said, a great space and place to refer people if they need some support. And community members as well. You don't have to have someone in the hospital to take advantage of the support and support groups that are offered. We also have our Patient-Centered Innovation Fund. This is something where if you see an idea that you think would enhance the patient experience, you can submit your idea, and it goes before kind of a Shark Tank-like board that will review your idea, and if they like it and approve it, they will fund it. You'll see here on the right-hand side this beautiful activities cart, which is in the volunteer department. Nice distraction for our patients who are here, give them something to do. The red light at night, that center picture, this is so patient care members can take care of patients at night without having to turn the light on and interrupt their sleep. And then on the left, you'll see these nursing pillows that were came up. It was an idea of one of our employees who had recently had a baby and thought, wouldn't this be a wonderful, innovative program to offer to our new moms? And so she submitted it and they approved it. So people always see things through a fresh lens, and ideas are amazing, and we're here to support them. This is an exercise I love to do in person, but we're not in person. So, what we do here is we have people take out their cell phones. So, you can do this while I'm talking to you now. Find a picture of somebody that you love, and just think about why this person is important in your life. And just imagine if you got a phone call that this person was on their way to the hospital. And I just want you to think about what would be really important to you about the care and experience that your loved one gets. Um, what would kind of be your non-negotiables? And when I do this exercise in person, I hear really amazing things. I hear that people want their loved one to be treated with empathy. Um, don't disregard symptoms. Um, don't make us wait, or if we do have to wait, keep us informed. Speak to us slowly in a way that we understand and make sure we have time for questions. If English is not our primary language, make sure that we have certified interpreters, and don't ever make an assumption that somebody understands you. Um, if you're a child or maybe an older person, again, give grace to understanding and time. Give extra time to make sure um, that the care that you're providing, that the person on the receiving end understands it. And I think what's also really important is to do these things with consistency, because patients certainly want to be treated with respect, and they want to be receive care in a prompt way, and they want to get information in a way they can understand consistently. So it's a wonderful exercise. And what I think about is that when we are taking care of patients or spending time with patients, understanding what's important to them and being able to model your time with them to best meet their needs is really key. And we also go through that exercise because we do survey 100% of our patients once they're discharged from the hospital. We do this inpatient, outpatient. If you come in for an x-ray or a mammogram, we're going to send you a survey. If you're in our behavioral health unit, you're going to get a survey. If you're over at Chappaqua getting pulmonary rehab or wound care, you're going to get a survey. And these surveys come from a company called Pressgani, but they are government developed questions called HCAPS. And our results are publicly reported, and they're tied to reimbursement. So we can make money or lose money based on how well we do on patient experience. And so the key thing here is thinking back to that person that you love. And if they were in the hospital, would they want the staff to be responsive sometimes or always? And the key with these surveys is if the patient doesn't answer always, we don't get credit for it. It's called Top Box. So we get graded on the percent of patients that give us always. And that can be really difficult if you're in the hospital for a week and you see 200 staff members, right? Or if you're in the ER and you have so many people coming into your room, how often are you going to give that always? So this is the takeaway for our staff and our volunteers that, patients want this level of care, this experience to happen consistently and always, just like we would want that for our loved ones. So we send these surveys out. We tend to score very highly within the system and in the country. We read every survey, we read comments, and we always set our action plans and improvements based on the feedback we get from our patients. And just a few more slides for you. As culture leader, it's important that you understand that yes, we're a Planetree hospital, but our culture is our culture of care, and care stands for these four-letter acronyms. So the C is connectedness, and when you think about connectedness, I just want you to think about that opportunity to get to know that patient that you're with or that colleague that you're with, find something in common or learn something about them, because that does create a connection, and those connections create trust and memories. Awareness, you're going to be in a room helping a patient. You might say, is there anything I can get for you? The patient may say no, but look around the room. Maybe there's a lunch tray you can take out, or maybe they need a warm blanket, or maybe they need a hand to hold. And sometimes just being aware of the unspoken needs, it can be very impactful. Respect, I think, goes without saying. We give it, we get it. And I certainly want you as volunteers to always feel respected by patients, families, and Northern Westchester Hospital staff. And you certainly can escalate, obviously, if you ever have any concerns in that regard. Post-pandemic, Northwell actually came out with a policy on behavior that we wanted to let our patients and visitors know that we have a zero tolerance for disruptive behavior, and that we actually have an escalation process. So just speaks to kind of where we are in the world. And I just like to remind staff that we care about the patient and family experience, but if you are feeling disrespected or have any concerns, that's not okay. And we want to be there to support you. And empathy, I will be sharing a link to a video after this presentation. It's a beautiful video that speaks all about empathy and seeing people through their lens and being able to appreciate what they're going through on a more personal level creates a very strong connection. So that's our culture of care. And this quote by Maya Angelou is beautiful. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that is really what our culture of care is all about. And I can speak from the Office of Patient and Customer Experience that people do not call me or write letters and say things like, thank you so much for that antibiotic I was given for my infection. Like that was the best antibiotic I've ever had. They don't say that. They call and they say, thank you to this wonderful staff member or this wonderful volunteer for their gentle smile or touch, or for bringing me a warm blanket, or for spending time with me, or for making me feel valued and not forgotten. That is what makes the difference to our patients, and that is what creates the lasting memories. And it starts with us. It starts with how we decide to show up for the day. I always think about it. Sometimes I wake up and I feel like I'm not going to be in an always mood today. I might be in a never mood today, but that has a very strong ripple effect. So everything that you do, um, impacts, the me impacts the we and impacts the community. So I just ask you to, be that positive ripple and, create that positive flow that can happen from being fully present and connecting with those that you're with. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is service recovery. It's another acronym, only 4 letters. LAST. But when things don't go well, and sometimes they don't, we're not perfect. If you're with a patient or family member and we've not met their needs in some way, shape, or form, it's really important to just take the time to listen and to acknowledge and apologize. I'm really sorry that happened to you. Solve it if you can. Sometimes you can't, often you can't, but you can always say, "Thank you for letting me know. I will escalate this to my supervisor, and I'm really sorry that that happened to you." That can take 1 minute, and it lets someone know that they've been heard and that their concern is important to us. Finding the yes if you can, but service recovery is a valuable tool, and you can use it in your everyday life.